everybody. Today we are talking to director, producer, and streaming service creator, Christin Baker. Well, actually, there are too many hats to list because she seems to do it all. Thanks for chatting with us today, Christin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We have to disclose something, though. We actually know Christin.
Dun dun dun. That's right. Yeah.
Kaitlynn and I have worked with Christin before, so.
And they're
just
still
letting
having me
you
on the
know.
podcast, so it went well.
Yeah. See? All right.
So let's keep those happy times going, and I will start with the first question. So, was there a show, book, movie, or song, I know it's a lot of choices, that made an impact on you and started your love for media?
Oh, geez. Well, it's definitely going to be either like a show or a movie, because that's my jam. Absolutely. So, uh, gosh, I'm trying to think like ones that I'm gonna pick a movie just because I remember I'm this old sitting and like rewinding VHSs of my favorite movies, right? Like over and over again. And some of them that I just like memorized and watched, like all like just with the Princess Bride. I love the Princess Bride. I remember I rewatched Pretty Woman, but I think that's because I had a crush on Julia Roberts and just didn't know it at the time. But that was a solid rom-com. Still one of the best of today, in my opinion. There's a really random movie called Toys with Robin Williams and Joan Cusack. That's and LL Cool J. It was like LL Cool J's like first role. That was just phenomenal, and I love that visually. I remember that movie, so I would say like those were three that I watched over and over again when I was starting to kind of play around. I started playing around with like VHS cameras and editing when I was, in junior high. And so I would watch all those. So I feel like those were probably some pretty solid inspirations early on for me.
So you were a nerd from the start?
No doubt. No question about it. Super, super nerd. I mean, listen, I was a Star Trek watcher, Star Wars, I love the sci-fi, love me some Xena. Come on.
Relatable.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Big dork right here.
So what prompted you to get into telling queer stories through film?
When I was working a full-time 9 to 5 job, but I still felt like really called to make movies. And it was when YouTube was just starting to like become like a thing, and like everyone suddenly was making their own content. And I was like, well, I can do that. But there wasn't enough like lesbian queer content. And there was a TV show that was from the UK called Bad Girls that we got over here that had a Nikki and Helen storyline that I just like ate up like it was like ice cream, like an ice cream sundae. And when their storyline ended at season 3, I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I was geeking out with a friend of mine, and she was like, let's make lesbian web series. And I was like, that's a great idea. But instead of just making one, I also decided to start a streaming platform when I have no idea how to code or do any of that. So that's how Tello was born. But I raised a little angel investing money and found some people who could help me. And I figured if I could do the content part of it, like make things that were like good and cheap, then I could feed, the kind of the YouTube piece of it. So that's how that all got started. And here we are today.
Here we are. Having a convo about it.
That's right.
But what do you think is the importance of having representation behind the camera as well as on camera?
Well, I mean, gosh, how upset have we all been at like the male gaze for telling queer female stories? You know what I mean? It's like, it's so upsetting. And you can tell. It's like,
yes.
Don't get me started on Disobedience. I mean, geez Louise.
Oh my gosh. That movie.
God. And so I think that's just one example of I think a male gaze, especially when it came to the intimate scenes, that just really I think made the movie, like for some people, just like had such a negative impact. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's so important to have have representation behind the camera so that we understand the nuances of our own storytelling and our own story. And it's it's hard sometimes. It can be hard when you're looking to speak to the community in a nuanced way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Theora and I especially like to rage about how the male gaze in queer scenes, but
Oh yeah,
it
yeah. Blue is the
really.
warmest color. I mean, we can list them. We can
Oh my
list them.
gosh,
Do you know what I'm saying? It's
those
like
are
we know what
yeah.
they are.
Those are definitely ones that I can't watch. Like I tried to watch Disobedience and it was a do not finish for me because
Yeah.
especially when they got to that one scene, I think we everybody kind of I don't get the spitting. I don't understand it, but sure, whatever. I don't
Someone
know.
out there is going to send you a very long reason, Bree, but I think you can just say, for me, I don't understand it. If it speaks to
Yeah,
you,
that's me.
fantastic.
Go
And
for
I
it, but
agree with you. For me, it did not resonate.
I also just don't think it did anything for the narrative.
No.
So, anyway.
Well, thankfully, we have conscious creators out there who are like yourself, who are trying to make things through the lens of the intended audience, which we
Yeah.
appreciate. And so we thank you for starting your own streaming service production company. What was the process like for getting those projects started?
You mean like the web series projects that we were creating when we first started? Like, is that what you mean? Like the original content piece?
Yeah.
Kind of like getting any production company off the ground. So,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's usually because you have a project that you love, that you
mm-hmm.
wanna that you want to either a story idea that you want to tell, and then you either write the script or you have someone write the script. So really, it all starts with story. It all starts with the story that you want to tell, and then you write a script, figure out your budget, either go raise the money or crowdfund or ask people to work for free, depending on how long it is or involved it is, and make sure you feed everyone. Um, and then yeah, and then you start just kind of like slowly doing your best to make original content, to make your content and tell your story and create like your collaborative team that you love and want to be around.
It's
Did
awesome.
that answer it for you? Is that did
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did great. That was great.
Okay.
I also wanted to touch on the streaming service part as well. Like, how did you go about like just deciding that you wanted to do that and like actually doing it?
I know, wasn't that the dumbest idea, Kaitlynn? I mean, it's like I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like, "This is ridiculous." But at the time, I don't know if y'all have, or any of the listeners have ever had this idea that just won't let you go. It's like it will not be released, and like there's something in your being that tells you like, "Nope, you got to do this." It's just an idea that just keeps tapping you on the shoulder, and that was the streaming platform. And I kind of said to probably myself, like, that is so stupid. You don't know how to code. Like, why would you start a streaming platform? Everyone who started streaming platforms know how to code. But it would not let me go. And so I thought, okay, if I can like find someone who knows how to do this or knows someone who knows how to do it and can do it like kind of inexpensively, because I really didn't have a lot of money. Um, let's see what we can do. And so I just started asking around. You just kind of start, and that's what I have found. I think this is the case in anything that you want to do, any dream that you want to do, any idea that you have. You just start asking people and you go, hey, do you know someone who knows how to, and then whatever it is that you're looking for? And I was lucky that I had people in my kind of circle randomly. And that's the other thing that I think happens is like serendipitously things start happening. And that's kind of when you know your idea is one that you are supposed to continue with. I think when you have like you just happen to be at coffee with this person because you all are on your kids are on the same soccer team, and you say like, oh, I have this idea to do bloody blah, and they go, I know someone who does that. It's like weird how stuff like that starts to happen when one of your ideas is you're supposed to continue with it. So that's kind of what happened to me is I started just asking around, and I found someone who like knew kind of how to code or knew what we needed to do. And I just started asking people to take meetings, and I asked for help. I didn't try and pretend like I knew something I didn't try and like, I just was like real honest about it. I was like, I have no clue how to do this. I feel like it might be easy. What do I need? And it's amazing how when you ask for help, people like kind of show up to help and show up to like support you. And that's kind of what happened. And so I found someone who knew where to find people to inexpensively build a streaming platform, which I know sounds really weird, but they did. And we went through multiple iterations too, by the way, like the one that, you know, and then different people came into my life to redo the site and like make it, because we started this, y'all. I just got a notice from LinkedIn. It was like, congratulations on your work anniversary for starting Tello Films 16 years ago.
Whoa.
I was like, no,
Wow.
it was 12 years ago, LinkedIn. And LinkedIn was like, no, you're old. And I was like, oh my God.
I didn't know LinkedIn
16
offered insulting you services.
Listen, listen, it's just that LinkedIn can be a saucy wench. But yeah, so, or it could have been in my head. Either way. But yeah, so 16 years ago is when I first at least even put Tello up as like a job position that I had. So who knows when it was, but yeah, 16 years ago. So streaming platforms were not as abundant and easy as they are now. So we were really trying to figure out like, how do we do this? Like at first we were going to be like free and open and YouTube, and we're going to make all this money on advertising, which did not happen. So then we had to figure out, how do we put up a subscription wall? Then we had to figure out, how do we make it reoccurring revenue? And those things are now like, y'all could decide to start a streaming platform right now if you had a little bit of money, and there you go. And you'll have an app, and you'll have reoccurring revenue, and you'll have, you know, a beautiful template platform. We didn't have any of that. So we had to like figure it out with no money. So I really had to beg, borrow, and steal for what I was doing early on. And again, was lucky to have really generous people who wanted to be helpful. Yeah, so then in 2018, Tello moved to a Vimeo platform. But yeah, in the early days, it was like we were figuring it out. We were just figuring it out and finding people who could help. Um, and then I was lucky that I had a couple of family members who came in with some money to be angel investors and kind of help me out and help me get started.
Sounds like you were an OG in the space.
I was out there with Netflix and Hulu, and then it was like little
Yeah.
Tello.
Netflix, Hulu, and Little Tello. That sounds like
Yeah.
a show I'd watch. But
Exactly.
so, what would you say was your biggest obstacle to in all of that?
Probably, I don't know. Normally I would say money, but I was working a full-time job. So, I wasn't going to go hungry or anything like that. So it was really
Mm-hmm.
passion that kind of helped me with Tello. Um, I think the biggest obstacle were people giving, and it wasn't an obstacle, it's just sort of an annoyance, but it's like people telling me what I should do and how I should do it. Oh, you should really open it up to like the full LGBT community. Nope, I don't want to do that. Oh, you should make it like more like strong women focused. Nope, I don't want to do that. Do you know what you like? If I had one more person tell me, like, do you know what you should do? I could have funded my entire site and like been as big
Mm-hmm.
as Netflix. Everyone wants to give you suggestions and they have a brilliant idea, but you're doing the sweat equity. And like the other thing that was really hard was like breaking through the press piece and getting our word out there. I don't hear it as much with Tello, but like I used to have people be like, I didn't know there was a lesbian streaming platform. I've never heard of Tello. And you're just like banging your head against the desk, like going like, I'm doing my best to get, but we couldn't get major press outlets to pick us up. We could barely get like the 2 or 3 lesbian outlets to pick us up. So it was really getting the word out. And we were on social media, and it was trying to get followers and people to pay attention. And so that was really it in the early days. The frustrating and the obstacle was like getting the word out when you have
Mm-hmm.
no money.
Absolutely.
We've gone through a lot of progress and regression when it comes to queer media, like over time to where we are now. So what do you think about the current trend of shows with like major queer representation, queer leads just being canceled all of a sudden?
Yeah. I think it's like take two of like straight white guys canceling lesbians. It's like the showrunners did it in 2016 and now they're doing it to the community now, and it's just this bizarre wave of like, you know who we haven't like totally crapped on? Oh, the queer female community. Let's go. Let's cancel all the shows. Let's cancel representation. And I don't know what it is. My like armchair philosophy theory, this is based on just Christin, so please, anyone who's listening, like, this is my theory, personal theory. I think these shows were started during the Me Too movement. They went into production, they came out, it was huge for our community, it was amazing. And then all of a sudden, the decision makers, since they don't have to care about really diversity as much anymore, at least I don't feel like it's as big of a deal at this time, are deciding that they should be canceled. Even though it has a solid rabid fan base, like for whatever reason, it's not fitting into their algorithm. And unfortunately, I told someone the other day, Netflix is not going to bring something back from public pressure. They're just not. Someone might pick it up, but they always go back to the algorithm. And they have an algorithm that makes all their decisions. And so they can kind of go, sorry, y'all. You can sometimes get ahead of it. I can't remember if it was like Atypical or someone like will try and do a please renew kind of campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I think their algorithm and metrics change. It used to be, how much are you watching? Then it was, how much is it being finished? Then it's, how much is being rewatched? Mm-hmm. Now it's, how many new subscribers is this show getting us? So the algorithm is constantly changing as to what is success. And so I think as a creative, that can be and as a viewer, that can be really frustrating. It's like, why? And it also like makes no sense what does get renewed that seems to not be as good or as popular compared to what does get renewed and why. And so part of it, I think, is like, they just don't have the empathy around representation that we would want them to, in order to like figure out how to make it work and make it happen, or how important it is to the community. And so I just don't think they care.
Yeah, I mean, since, like you said, I do think that they, since they're a business, they're just like, well, that's it. Like, this is the decision. And especially Netflix. Netflix has really been pissing me off the last few years. But
yeah.
But in your opinion, what's changed the most from when you started in the industry till now?
I will say people are more willing to not balk at content with strong female characters that have a lesbian storyline. Whereas at first it was almost like a non-starter. Like you would literally hear like, well, you had the L word. And it was like, well, yeah, 8 years ago. And this was before Generation Q. But it was like, Dick Wolf can have 15 shows on the air that's all about like, some kind of, medical or whatever emergency. But God forbid we have 2 lesbian shows. So that was like kind of back in the day. Today, at least, I think people are willing to look at it. They recognize they do need diverse representation. And I do think you see a few more side characters who are queer on the shows. They might not be leading it. So I think that's something that's changed for the better since I started 16 years ago. So I mean, that's a positive thing. I think, when we're able to have 2 LGBTQ Hallmark rom-coms, not just 1, or 2 LGBTQ holiday rom-coms on Lifetime, then we will have kind of hit a stride. Like, I feel like they still only let us have 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You get 1 a year and that's it.
Yeah, and be happy with it, Sorry if it doesn't represent everything you want, we gave you this, like, be happy. You're kind of like,
here's more happy content would be nice though. It's always sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rom-coms, please.
Yeah. Emphasis on the calm.
Ones that aren't the happiest season.
I have 4 out there, everyone. I have 4.
Yes, we need to go watch those.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
Me and my wife watched the one I
Christmas
can't
at the
remember.
Ranch.
Christmas at the Ranch. It's actually really good. I was like, this is actually the best queer rom-com that exists. Like,
Well,
truly.
thank you.
Like,
Thank
you for
you.
making
Listen
that.
to
It like
that,
hit
all the
all
podcast
buckets.
people. Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
so good. Go watch it if
Thank
you don't
you.
watch it if you're listening to this.
It's
It's so
really
good.
crazy that no one I know knows
Yes.
about these movies, and I'm like,
This is what I wanted in a movie.
Yeah.
so
Well,
we're about
and
to
then they
throw your
complain.
stuff out there.
Yeah. Then they complain about it, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
have 4 of them. They're right here.
Go watch.
Yes. Sorry, Kaitlynn. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, and then I lost my place. How do you see the future of queer media evolving?
That's a really good question. Let me ask this question. Has A League of Their Own gotten to season 2 yet?
Not
Not
yet.
Not
Yeah.
officially.
Not officially.
Okay. That's what makes me nervous. That's
what
the
I've been
kind of
saying.
thing that makes me nervous. Like, that to me should be like a no-brainer.
No brainer.
But,
I
you know,
agree.
so, I don't know. I think what will be nice, I do think we're evolving beyond the coming out story. I think a lot of time was spent, as it should be. I think we're a young storytelling community. I think the community is still a young storytelling community, and we were really obsessed with coming out stories and older stories where it's like, what did lesbians do back in the olden days before there was like so I think we're starting to move beyond that. And I'm where I'm hoping that we're going is that people recognize that we get more money for it. I think we're still very, very struggling and suffering for being supported monetarily. When you see nice bright spots where there are monetarily supported things, Winona Earp is a great example of community really coming behind and just like supporting it in a big and meaningful way. And I think that I think it would be nice if other things could be supported by the community in the same vein. That's my hope, and kind of what I'm, hopefully seeing.
Yeah, I think the Warrior Nun Phantom is doing a pretty good job at the moment of
They
getting
got
stuff out there.
billboards, and yeah, what the hope for Warrior Nun should be, kind of what One Day at a Time did, where it went to Pop TV. I can almost, I will go if Netflix renews it. I will be shocked. What they should hope is that another network sees how popular it is and looks at picking it up or doing something in conjunction with something. That would be the hope. And I don't know I don't know the details around it. I don't know. I think there's an IP involved, which can always be a little bit more complicated if it's
Netflix needs to release it.
That's the big problem.
Yeah, so Netflix would need to release the IP, which can sometimes be very difficult. And then another, again, depending on how expensive it is, someone would want to put money behind it that matches what they believe the watchability of it would be.
Absolutely.
So, but if Netflix doesn't release the IP, it's dead in the water.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I don't mean to be a downer, but I
no, we did a whole episode about this.
We did a whole episode about it.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think people understand the nuances of content and like what exactly it takes to be, what it takes for something to be renewed or jump to another network.
Yeah, and it can get frustrating to see a lot of tweets from people that are somewhat inaccurate or ignorant of that kind of stuff. So yeah. Agree.
I'm always willing to come on and talk about that stuff. By the way, should you want to just email me, since y'all can, I love talking about that stuff. And as someone who kind of has a streaming platform, like knows a little bit about the nuances, around it. So anytime you want to talk about that, I'm here for you.
That would be a super fun time, and we would totally be down.
Yeah.
All right, so this has been a fascinating conversation, and obviously you've been like super passionate about creating media since like the nerd days as a kid with the VHS. But like, I always find it good to know like why people are doing something. So why do you think it's so important to make a difference, like with queer, like using queer media? Like, why is that so important?
Well, so I think for me, it's two reasons. When I first started, I was like working a full-time job. So Tello was the thing and making content was the thing I did on the side, like for fun. So I was sort of like, I don't care what y'all want to watch. This is what I want to watch. And I'm the one paying for it. So I'm going to make it. And so at first it was sort of like a very selfish endeavor where I was like, well, this is what I want to see. If y'all want to see it too, fantastic. Like, good. I think what I have come to realize, and I talk about this all the time and I truly, truly believe it. I believe that when content creators, not just me, but when anyone makes content for our community that is a positive representation, obviously, I think it saves lives. I truly, truly believe it saves lives. I think, the suicide rate that we have in the community, is still like higher. I think kids or people, when they don't see themselves represented, don't feel worthy, that their stories are important, that they have a community, especially people who live in rural areas. And I think it saves lives. I think anytime you talk to anyone who's a part of like a passionate fandom, you will hear someone say, I felt so alone, and then I found this, and I felt like I belonged somewhere, and then I found the fandom, and I felt like I really belonged and I had friends. That saves lives. Not just saves lives, but it also makes our life feel more worthy. So even if someone doesn't want to there are obviously people who have committed suicide. We know them, and have heard about them. But I also think that like it makes your life better. Like finding a sense of community just makes your life better. And so I think there's there's actual life, there's a quality of life. And yeah, I just think it's like just so important. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I said, I don't mean to be dramatic, but I think it saves lives. And I truly believe that.
100%.
I agree.
We agree. And that's why we do this as well.
Yeah,
So
that's why we're here.
Exactly.
powerful.
Y'all. So, yeah. And it's the same thing with what y'all are doing, putting something out there and someone's going to say yes to it. But you're going to pick the topics you want to talk about. You're going to pick the people you want to talk about. And if someone wants to join you, great. But if not, it's your time. It's your dime. And,
exactly.
talk about what you want to talk about. So, yeah. But that is how we create community.
You're 100%. I'm with you. So we're curious if you have any projects you're working on or releasing soon.
My goodness, always, Bree. I'm always working on something. It's just so much storytelling.
We know
so
this
little time
about
and
you,
money.
so.
I know. So February 28th, my project Scare B&B, which is a limited series. The first 2 episodes are releasing. It's fantastic. It has Mandala Rose, Sterling Victorian, Lily Richards, Abisha Ul. It's a thriller where no lesbians get killed in the end. In fact, no one dies, spoiler alert, but has jump scares. It's really fun. You're on the edge of your seat, like, what's going on in this Airbnb that they've rented? And so that's coming out February 28th. People can still go and watch Marion Gay on divaboxoffice.tv. That came out this past December. So, Theora, if you liked Christmas at the Ranch, you will love Marion Gay. It's super fun, super cute, lovely, lovely, lovely. That's the holiday rom-com. That's already out. So then I should knock on some kind of faux wood around here, going into production on an action thriller. Yes, it's not this. I don't think this will be the end title, but it's currently entitled Safe House. And it's like the closest I could get to Atomic Blonde, but set in the present day, but it's like kick-ass, badass, like
Nice.
This is what I've been waiting
assassin.
for.
Oh,
Yes.
It's like, I'm so excited. It's like a little bit of lady loving in there as well, but like just some like, super, super fly, amazing people. And, I always talk about, because my mom would get mad at me if I didn't, I always talk about my next holiday. It's not a rom-com, but it's a holiday comedy that is called Redneck Christmas.
Oh boy.
No one has to go back in the closet, by the way, in this family comedy set at Christmas time. So, but it's also based on true stories of me bringing my friends or girlfriends home to my very, very southern rural, lovely, beautiful family, and the craziness that absolutely ensues because I have a crazy family.
I think I'm gonna vibe with
love
that a lot
that.
because that was like kind of like my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
And
it.
it's kind of like my homage to like the flyover states, and when queer people come home, and you know, it's it's not as traumatic as I think past family movies have made it out to be. Mine is very, very loving. There's obviously some drama and conflict because it's storytelling,
Families.
and that's what makes it, you know, more the ending more wonderful. But yeah, it's based on all my crazy stories of bringing folks home.
I love it.
I love all of those.
We're gonna watch
projects.
it
I cannot
all.
wait. Yes.
Can't
Thank
wait.
you, thank
Maybe a
you. So,
reaction video, guys?
Yes, we'll do a
Yes.
reaction video to it.
oh, that would be
Love
amazing, amazing, amazing.
it.
So, but I'm hoping those get funded. I'm again manifesting putting that out into the universe. And there's a couple of other things. I don't want to belabor it, but those are kind of the top. Oh, I do want to mention I have Sonata Coffee that I'm hoping to shoot, which is a cute little like YA written by like a young upcoming lesbian writer. So she
That
did it.
sounds-
She wrote a meet cute kind of based on like her fanfic. So it's an homage to those like coffee shop meet cute fanfics that are out
love
there.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Give this woman some money.
Yes.
All the money.
That's right, Bree.
All of it.
All the money.
Well, thank you for sharing those with us, and we can't wait, and we will make sure to shout them from all of our social media.
I appreciate you.
So before we say goodbye, do you have any final words for the listeners at home?
You know, I would say, you know, I always say, of course, support my projects, but I would just say support projects that you love with your time, with your talent, with your treasure. And if you want to create, start creating. Like do something, a little something every day, whether it's writing, whether it's like watching, you know, behind the scenes or how-to videos or, you know, writing your own projects. Like, you know, put something out into the universe that you want to see or that you feel passionate about. And I think that makes a huge difference. And find your people, you know, find your people, find your community. I think that's so important.
That's great. Thank you again for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks, y'all. It's so good to see
your
you.
busy day of
too.
travel.
I know. Bree and Kaitlynn, y'all are awesome. It's so
Well,
good to see you,
so are
Theora. It's
you.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's been too long. I keep meaning to reach out to you, Bree. So
Well,
it was a happy
anytime.
surprise to see you.
Well, we really appreciate it and loved getting to know you better because we know you a little bit, but we got to know you so much better now. To everyone at home listening, make sure to check out Christin's streaming services, divaboxoffice.tv, and Tello. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing, super gay content.
If you'd like to support us, check out our merch store or join our Patreon for early access to episodes, exclusive content, and so much more.
Until next time, stay safe and hydrate for lesbian Jesus.